Good morning, sports bettors. It is Matt Modi here with OddsJam, coming to you with 3 last-minute player props to lock in for Monday Night Football tonight. We have a pretty good game between the Chiefs and the Raiders. By good, I mean at least it will hopefully be more exciting than the recent primetime games that we've gotten. The Chiefs had a great primetime game last week against the best defense in the NFL, and the Bucs. Hopefully they can continue it against a bottom 10 defense tonight in the Raiders. If you want a game preview, my game preview for this game, check out the OddsJam YouTube channel. I already came out with that in terms of official predictions and whatnot. In this video, specifically, what we are going to be doing is locking in sharp, no-brainer, last-minute player props for tonight. Of course, betting on player props, betting on sports in general, it always starts for me logging in the OddsJam, checking out the positive expected value page. Using OddsJam, using the positive EV page is where you can find sharp, mathematically profitable bets that have an edge over the sportsbook. I know that just sounds like a randomly hit a lot of keywords, so let's get into it. So this first play here that is on the positive EV page is Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 49.5 rushing yards, plus 107 on PlayUp. Now this in of itself is a pretty good play. But if you open this up in a new tab, you click view event page, it pulls up where every sportsbook is pricing this play. And as you can see, it's actually better value if we take him to go over 45.5, a full 4 yards lower. 4 yards in the situation like this is equivalent of like a 10% difference between 45.5 and 49.5, meaning there's about a 10% chance that he lands in between these two numbers, between 45.5 and 49, so between 46 and 49 rushing yards. And just look at where every book prices this. You're getting over 45.5 at minus 115 on WinBet. Every other book prices it above this amount. Some of them pretty decently above this amount. Like Pinnacle has it all the way at 49.5. Prices it at minus 112. FanDuel at 47.5 at minus 113. WinBet minus 125 at 46.5. Bet Online, another sharp book, basically has it at 50-50 at 47.5. Every single book is telling you he should be priced above this 45.5 number, except the one book that we're getting it at on PointsBet, which tells me that they have some sort of mispriced line on this play. So this is actually going to be a unit play for me, a full unit, which is the most I'll put on a player prop. I'll put 1 unit. We'll see if PointsBet lets me get this because they generally do have me limited. They do. Perfect. So this is going to be my first play, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 45.5 rushing yards, minus 115 on PointsBet. So I talked about the math behind it, why line shopping is so important. Having the comparison of every book to tell you, hey, this is priced too low. This rushing yardage is priced too low is really important. So if you're not signed up for every book, I would recommend just checking out the description of checking out the betting landscape in your state. If you are unsure, just go to oddsjam.com, resources, legalization tracker will tell you what is and isn't legal in your state. And then what I was saying is if you check out the description of the video, the comment in the video, the pinned comment, sign up for every sportsbook that you are not currently signed up with. Take advantage of having all of these sportsbooks at your disposal. Another thing that I like to do specifically for player props is check out the OddsJam Props app. The link to this is in the description as well. And if you just type in a name of a player, in this case we're looking at Clyde's rushing yards, it pulls up his historical data of how he's doing in terms of this stat. So if you look at his last 5 games, he's gone over 2 of his last 5, but there's only 4 games into the season, so he's gone over in 2 of 4. This 0 was the weird game against the Colts where they really couldn't get much going. The NFL kind of rigged that game. They needed to get a Colts win. But in general, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has had a really good season so far. This 42 happened all in the first half. And if you remember, this was week 1 against the Cardinals when the Chiefs blew out the Cardinals. He didn't play at all in the second half, really. He had 92 yards against a good Bucs defense last week, 74 yards in week 2 on a Thursday night game against the Chargers. All in all, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has had a good season, and the Raiders have a tough, bad running defense. So all in all, this play makes sense from all of the above. So I locked it in. Again, to confirm, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 45.5 rushing yards, minus 115 at PointsBet is my first bet for today. The next one that I'm looking at is Jerrick McKinnon to go over 13.5 rushing yards. So this is a play that I've actually middled. I have him going under 16.5 Now I have him going over 13.5. But the way the odds shake out, I'm going to guarantee a profit, and he could also possibly win both. So that's also kind of the importance of if you get in on a positive expected value bet early, the lines will shift in your favor, and you can either arbitrage that or middle that for a guaranteed profit. In this case, I'm going to middle it and hope that I can win both, but no matter what happens, I will win one. But anyways, Jerrick McKinnon, the play, over 13.5 rushing yards, plus 104 on Caesars. This is going to be a half of a unit play, so let me just lock this in for half a unit. Perfect, that bet has been placed. So now let's chat about this one. So the no vig line, which is kind of where we get the positive expected value from, where everything is based off of, prices this at about plus 103, plus 104 if you want to round up. So getting it, the difference between those two numbers, getting it at plus 104 on Caesars does have positive expected value associated with it. Not a huge value here at 0.72%, but even these lower percents are still good bets that shouldn't just totally be avoided because they're lower. You should still look into them and all that stuff. So plus 104 on Caesars, and just look at where every other book prices it. No other book even has it at plus 100, and you're getting it at plus 104 on Caesars. Majority of books are telling you that it should be roughly a 50-50 bet, maybe a little bit slightly favoring the under, but that's kind of where the plus 104 odds come into play. They're baking that into account, obviously. And we're getting it all the way at plus 104 on Caesars. Now, Jerrick McKinnon, so to start the season, he was their top backup. Whenever Clyde Edwards-Helaire would come off the field, Jerrick McKinnon would go on. He was their primary backup. As the season has gone along, that number or that role has actually been replaced with Isaac Pacheco, the rookie running back for the Chiefs. So that's why initially I was all in on Jerrick McKinnon going under 16.5, but it's been bet down to such a value at 13.5 that I still think it's a good play because he's still getting snaps. Andy Reid has always been one to mix up the snaps of the running backs. He's always been one to split reps, split carries, stuff like that. So Jerrick McKinnon probably won't get a ton of work. He might only need 4 carries to hit this over, and then he could middle it for us, getting between 14 and 16 yards, which would be nice. So second player prop that I hammered, half of a unit, Jerrick McKinnon over 13.5 rushing yards, obviously in Raiders versus Chiefs game. And the last one we are looking at here is Hunter Renfrow to go under 4.5 receptions, minus 113 on FanDuel. So let me lock this one in. This is going to be a unit play, a full unit on this one. So overall, 2 1-unit plays, 1 half-unit play on these player props tonight. And this is another play that I think is awesome. So the no vig line, as we can see, prices this at about minus 113.24. Excuse me. So again, not a monster gap, not a massive gap between these two numbers, but still a valuable play because look at how every other book is pricing this prop at. Betfred heavily favoring the under at minus 135, the over at plus 100. PointsBet has it at 50-50. FanDuel, obviously, what we locked it in at, has it at 50-50. But then Caesars favoring the under at minus 121. DraftKings heavily favoring the under, at minus 135. Typico, Bet Rivers favoring the under. And then this is the most important part. Bet Online, Sharp Sportsbook, Pinnacle / the OddsJam Perfect Line, sharpest sportsbook in the world. Again, heavily favoring the under. Pin at all the way at minus 138. Bet Online at minus 127. No book except for PointsBet is pricing this that close to the FanDuel line at minus 113. So I think this is an awesome play. Obviously, locked it in for a full unit. In terms of handicapping, it's his first game back from a concussion. The Raiders like to spread the ball around. They've been getting Mac Hollins a lot of targets. Obviously, they have Devontae Adams, who's a target monster. My guess is that they're probably going to put in an effort to get Darren Waller involved, and I think that'll just end up meaning Hunter Renfrow as the odd man out. So I like this one. Obviously, I locked it in for a full unit. So now let me just add these plays to my bet tracker. I put a full unit, $100 on this one, and the Jerrick McKinnon, I put $50. And that's it. So those are my 3 bets that I've locked in for today. We are looking at Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 45.5 rushing yards. We are looking at, I already locked that one in. We are looking at Hunter Renfrow under 4.5 receptions, and we are looking at Jerrick McKinnon over 13.5 rushing yards. And that's it. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you're tailing these bets, would love to hear it. But enjoy Monday Night Football tonight, and have a good one.